Listen up, 12s. The front office might be ready to shake things up, and you need to hear this right now. We are looking at some massive potential moves that could redefine our roster before the season kicks off. From a high-impact pass rusher to a surprising quarterback departure, the landscape is shifting fast. We are so close to hitting our 1,000 subscriber milestone, and your support is the heartbeat of this channel.
Help us reach our goal and stay united as we chase glory. Hit that button and join the family. Stick with me because this situation is getting intense. The Seattle Seahawks are actively evaluating their 53-man roster as training camp approaches in 2026, and the front office is no stranger to executing major trades to solidify their competitive standing. With the draft and OTAs now in the rearview mirror, the organization is looking for ways to maximize talent across the field. Among the potential moves being discussed are a high-impact acquisition for the front seven and a strategic departure at the quarterback position. The primary focus for potential reinforcement is Thibodeaux, the talented linebacker currently with the New York Giants. Given that Thibodeaux is entering the final year of his rookie contract and faces a crowded pass rushing room in East Rutherford, compounded by the Giants' recent selection of Arvell Reese and the presence of Brian Burns, he has emerged as a prime trade candidate. For the Seahawks, securing a player of his caliber would serve as a direct response to divisional shifts, specifically the Los Angeles Rams' recent acquisition of Myles Garrett. By leveraging their current surplus of Day 2 draft picks, Seattle has a clear path to facilitate this move without compromising their long-term draft capital. This potential addition would bolster the front seven significantly, addressing the need for added pressure and defensive depth. Meanwhile, the quarterback room is experiencing its own evolution.
With Sam Darnold established as the starter after a Super Bowl winning campaign and Drew Lock solidified as the primary backup, second-year signal caller Jalen Milroe finds himself in an uncertain position. As the team narrows down the roster bubble, Milroe's trajectory has shifted from being insurance for the starter to a potential trade asset for teams across the league looking to inject upside into their own depth charts. The Seahawks are weighing these scenarios carefully to ensure the roster is optimized. Go Hawks! The situation surrounding Jalen Milroe is a central point of discussion for the Seahawks as training camp nears. Last season, Milroe was selected as a third-round pick out of Alabama to serve as necessary insurance in case Sam Darnold struggled. However, because Darnold performed at an elite level, ultimately leading the franchise to a Super Bowl title, the immediate need for a developmental quarterback has evolved. Consequently, Milroe's future in Seattle has become significantly cloudier than it was when he first arrived in the previous offseason.
This scenario matters right now because the team is facing an extremely tight roster bubble, and keeping a third quarterback who is not currently in the rotation for immediate snaps limits flexibility at other positions. By exploring trade options for Milroe, the Seahawks have an opportunity to move a player with upside to a franchise that needs an upgrade at the backup level, while simultaneously opening up a valuable spot on the 53-man roster.
Several teams in the AFC East, specifically the Buffalo Bills, New England Patriots, New York Jets, and Miami Dolphins, are viewed as logical destinations where Milroe could compete for a backup role or provide needed versatility. For the Bills, Milroe could represent an upgrade over Kyle Allen behind Josh Allen. In New England, Tommy DeVito's status as a backup has created a void that a talent like Milroe could fill.
Even for teams like the Dolphins, who have Quinn Ewers behind Malik Willis, Milroe's status as a third-round pick compared to a seventh-rounder offers a different level of investment and potential. The Seahawks are currently assessing these inquiries to determine the best path forward for the young quarterback, keeping the overall team structure and immediate roster needs as their primary guiding principles for the 2026 season. Focusing back on the defensive side of the ball, the potential acquisition of Thibodeaux remains a focal point for the Seahawks' strategic planning. The linebacker position is vital for maintaining defensive dominance in the NFC West, especially with the heightened competition from the Los Angeles Rams. The availability of Thibodeaux is rooted in the Giants' recent roster adjustments. By selecting Arvell Reese in the top 5 of the draft for the second consecutive year, New York has created a bottleneck in their pass rushing group. When factoring in the veteran presence of Brian Burns, it is clear that Thibodeaux's role in East Rutherford may be restricted compared to what he could command elsewhere. Seattle has been linked to the linebacker in the past, and current circumstances make a deal more feasible than ever.
Because the Seahawks possess an excess of Day 2 draft picks heading into next year, they are uniquely positioned to offer a package that the Giants would find acceptable without depleting their future assets. This move would be a calculated effort to ensure the Seattle defense remains aggressive and capable of pressuring opposing quarterbacks at a high rate. The The transition of elite talent across the league during the offseason demonstrates that teams willing to leverage their assets to patch specific roster holes often see the most stability. For Seattle, the ability to integrate a player of Thibodeaux's pedigree into their front seven could prove pivotal as they prepare for the rigors of the upcoming schedule. While no final decision has been made, the internal assessment of this trade possibility reflects the organization's ongoing commitment to evaluating every avenue that provides an immediate boost to their defensive depth chart before the start of training camp activities later this summer. The ripple effects of a potential Jalen Milroe trade are significant for the Seahawks roster construction. While Sam Darnold remains the clear leader of the offense following his recent success, the competition for the remaining spots on the depth chart is intensifying. Milroe, as a former third-round pick, possesses physical tools that make him an attractive option for other franchises. This is why the AFC East has emerged as a primary landing spot for the young passer. The New York Jets, for instance, are still navigating questions regarding their quarterback room despite having Geno Smith as the starter. Adding Milroe would grant them a player with youth and potential to develop alongside their existing roster. Similarly, the Miami Dolphins have a situation with Malik Willis and Quinn Ewers that could benefit from the injection of a player drafted higher in his respective class, providing them with a more experienced backup option. For the Seahawks, moving Milroe is not about a lack of confidence in his ability, but rather a pragmatic recognition of the current 53-man roster constraints and the need to allocate resources where they are most needed. By potentially offloading a player who is currently on the outside looking in, the team gains the chance to acquire assets or simply clear space for players who will contribute more immediately to the 2026 goals. This reflects the broader league trend of teams constantly reevaluating their developmental players against their immediate championship caliber requirements. As training camp begins, the decision to hold on to Milroe or initiate a trade will be one of the most critical roster moves that the Seahawks oversee. The outcome will finalize the structure of the quarterback room and signal how the team intends to balance future potential against current, immediate operational needs. The path forward for the Seahawks involves a two-pronged strategy, maximizing defensive pressure through potential acquisitions and refining the roster depth at the quarterback position. Kayvon Thibodeaux represents the most significant defensive upgrade being considered, offering a high-ceiling pass rusher to a front seven that must remain elite to navigate the NFC West successfully. His entry into the final year of his contract makes him a distinct target for a franchise looking for immediate production, and the Giants' roster density provides the necessary leverage for a trade to materialize. Simultaneously, the potential departure of Jalen Milroe signals a shift in the team's developmental philosophy, prioritizing the immediate needs of a Super Bowl caliber roster over keeping depth that may not see the field. By engaging with teams in the AFC East, such as the Bills, Patriots, Jets, or Dolphins, the Seahawks are actively managing the competitive value of their assets. These developments underscore the reality that in the NFL, roster construction is a fluid, year-round process that requires decisive action. As camp approaches, the organization's ability to successfully execute these potential trades could determine the final composition and versatility of the squad for the 2026 season. Whether it is adding Thibodeaux to stabilize the defense or finding a new home for Milroe to optimize roster spots, the primary objective remains unchanged, maintaining the highest level of efficiency within the 53-man limit. Fans are watching closely as these two distinct narratives, the arrival of a proven playmaker and the redistribution of quarterback assets, converge to define the team's identity. With the training camp countdown now underway, the Seahawks are prepared to make the necessary moves to ensure they remain at the top of the NFC hierarchy while properly managing their valuable draft assets and personnel.